and hand you over. Hey, Steve, Andy, what's going on?
Thank you, Scott. How's it going down there in Texas, Mr. Andy?
It's starting to warm up a little, but doing well. Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody out there on attendee land. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. I missed last week, and Andy subbed in for me, so we'll do a little bit of catching up here on some of the things last week that we could have talked about. We'll combine it all into one, but the reminder that we are a software as a subscription type of company. We are not registered investment advisors. If you need help from registered investment advisor, you got to pay them their fees because that's what they're there for. So we're not that type. We're just traders with a couple of opinions. We'll share those opinions, but nothing you see or hear should be construed as financial advice for you. As we wait for the regulars to kind of stagger on in, just a reminder that this is a very rich program, and we do our best to try and make ourselves available to you Monday through Friday as best we can. Reminder that the live trading room with Barry is always open during the market hours, and he's pretty generous with his time. If you have questions or need to learn something, he can point you in the right direction visually. We also have the 1 hour daily at 12 p.m. Eastern. We call these the daily support sessions. It's simply just a link. It's basically trade-ideas.com/live, and that link redirects you back to our YouTube channel while we're doing a live broadcast every day, Monday through Friday around noon Eastern, and anybody can come in and ask questions and keep the flow going. It's designed for you guys to come ask and learn and receive. There it is, more information on the daily support sessions. There is the URL below down there, /live. That'll take you right to it. And before we get started, just the theme of this webinar is always the same: man and machine combined. A human with a machine is not as advanced with a human and a machine working together. We talk about this all the time when people ask us, hey, can I just turn on AI Holly and let it auto trade for me? Well, you can, but you're just utilizing the machine, and the human is much better at discerning the exit point on the entries that Holly serves up, and the data has shown us that. It's called conservative versus moderate, and for the people who urinate into the rest of the day on the close, there's a lot more meat on those bones, and so it's a great example of our example of using the product, which is the machine, and still being a human, giving the discretionary decision-making process as to when to get out. Some people call that gray box trading. Honestly, that is really the best. I think gray box trading is always going to be running circles around black box trading because of that human element in the exit. As things are updating in real time, the machine can't quite pick up on that like the human being can. So just a bit off topic. Actually, not a bit off topic, just setting the stage for why we use this slide here: man and machine combined. A human and a machine are going to outperform just a human with a machine using it by itself. All right, so it brings us to our agenda today. We usually have a bit of a format. I'll talk about what's going on in the market recap. As you can see there's really no bear case once again to be made. After all of that noise and mess, we'll take a look. AI recap with Andy. He's got a few thoughts of some of the things that happened in the AI Neo land today. We'll take a look at the namesake of this webinar, Trade of the Week, which was an ETF, semiconductors holders, and it triggered today. We'll take a look at that. We'll visit the one from Langen, which took a couple days, but it finally kicked in as well. And then I'm going to ask you guys, I did this on Andy's Thursday webinar, but I'm going to approach it a little differently this time. Rather than somebody putting in a scan that you want to see, let's do it this way. Let's work backwards. Maybe there's a symbol you saw yesterday or today, or even the day before Friday, and you're like, wow, it would have really been nice to have a scan from Trade Ideas alert me to that symbol at that time of day. Well, if you guys can think of one, go ahead and pop it in the questions box, and we'll kind of pull from one. And after Andy's done with after I'm done with the Trade of the Week segment, we'll see what's in there and see if we can reverse engineer a scan and show you guys how to isolate a single symbol to try and work backwards into an event that you saw on the charts. So again, we'll take requests, but we're not asking for a type of scan. We're asking for, hey, can you find XYZ symbol yesterday at 9:54 p. Eastern? We'll go we'll go that route. All right, so I'll check back with you guys in 10 minutes or so and see if we can find something to work on. I've got a sector watch, but more importantly, I want to set some alerts, and we'll probably do that first. I've got a scan I want to show you. I think there's some good alerts that might be ready for tomorrow, so we'll set those and share those as well. So for now, I will start on the market commentary, as I always do, the S&P 500 using the SPY as an ETF. Couple of interesting notes. Yeah, this is where it all started back there, and that was our precipitous dip into 1 day of bear market territory. Well, we were down 20% for the shortest bear market in history. And ever since then, the market has done nothing but just tackle every single hurdle we have put in front of it. And the latest circle I put on there was the one we've been watching for the last few weeks, was this flattening 200-day moving average. This is a big deal when you're underneath a flat 200-day moving average. It's a pretty big deal, whether it's a stock or an index or an ETF, to get above that and decisively close above it. And that's exactly what the S&P did. It handled yet again another hurdle being thrown in the way. And so we have a nice close above, come back and a retest on the downside, support, and we're just kind of drifting higher. The train's starting to leave the station again. I mean, you know, you can look at the TV and think of all sorts of different reasons why this market should be down because of the images you may be seeing or the data you're seeing with unemployed, things like that. But it doesn't really matter. All that matters is the price action, and the footprints in the sand are telling us that all of that stuff we're seeing on TV and all those bad economic data points coming out are being completely discounted and disregarded, you know, including the $3 trillion they're going to pump out of thin air to try and, you know, prop that up. All those things, whatever, they're keeping the price intact. So this is clean air up here. This is dirty air down here. This is turbulence, moving averages, sideways action. But once we broke above this, and now we've got the 10 above the 20, above the 50, all the moving averages are starting to fan out. This is clean air, to use another pilot's expression. That's clean air up there. And when you're in clean air, there's absolutely no bear case that you can make. You're just literally waiting for a shoe to drop. I wouldn't be saying that if the price action was underneath these moving averages and being held down by them, but we had enough of that. We had all those moments where we just kept throwing that, and the market went ahead and passed the test each time. If we look at the NASDAQ, which is the real leader, interestingly enough, unlike the S&P, we are pretty much back to square. Remember, the NASDAQ was leading us up before all this nonsense happened, and it looks like it wants to continue to lead us up. Respectively, the 200-day moving average is way down here, and look at how it's just been easily hugging the 10-period. A nice test there with a reversal back up, kicking it into play. Price average, the price action is showing momentum using the 10-day simple moving average. There is, again, no bear case to be made. This is nothing but clean air up here. Now, I'm sure Andy's probably saying we might getting ready to say, you know, this is going to be a pretty big level. I think we all agree that this could be a pretty big level coming up, and maybe we do just start to get a little back and pull and start to create that big giant, you know, cup and handle. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a bit of, you know, of fits and starts up here and troubles and a bit of a line in the sand, so to speak. Because when we look left, we're seeing nothing more than all-time highs. We're almost right back there again, and in quick fashion, I might add. So we're probably going to test this in the very, very near future. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of algos shift and maybe profit take and move into some selling, and maybe we have a bit more of consolidation, but I don't necessarily think we're going to cut through that line like butter. We could. This market is rather impressive, but I'm kind of in the camp that we're going to see a little bit of disruption up here. What are you thinking over there, Andy?
No, I agree, Steve. Let's compare the spiders while you have that zoomed out chart there, and just see how far they're away from their all-time high. I think we're going to see a pretty big discrepancy here.
Yep. And
we do. Well, yeah, that and the reason for that, guys, obviously is you know, the Qs do have a heavy weighting of the big five, that being Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, and there's one other, Google probably. I think that would be the five that probably comprise of about 45%. And of course, the semis have been doing really well too. And Steve will hit that on the trade of the week. But yeah, Steve, I think with the overall market being the SPYs, it's more fairly weighted. I think by comparison, I wouldn't be surprised if you're right, and we do see some stubbornness up there as we try to, break the cues out, if we do try to break the cues out. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I tell you, Steve, it just blows my mind, especially, where we were just 2.5 weeks ago. It's just amazing from how far we've come up. It's just, and I'm sure it has a lot of people baffled, a lot of shorts angry, and a lot of shorts angry. But once again, the economy or the news is not the stock market, and if it wants to go higher, price is going to pay, and you got to be on the right side.
All right. Well, why don't you take it over and look at some of the AI Neo trades today, and I'll cruise through some of the symbols people are sending me here, and we'll pick something for a little later to work on.
All right. All right, I went ahead and just pulled them all up today because there's only about 4 trades in Neo. I usually just try to stick with Neo, but boy, it was a ho-hum day overall. Yesterday was a very good day for the AI. This is kind of what you get sometimes with the AI. Overall, it's going to outperform. We have shown that over the last 4 years, but today, there's a couple of good trades and some not so good trades, and we'll go over a couple of them here. One of them, probably the best performing one, was this, well, I can't say that. The best one was this GNSU. And I think what you got to really focus on, guys, a lot more than just looking at how much it was up based upon your share allocation. Look at the percentages, and this is almost an 18% gainer right there. And very beautiful call right there, a no pain trade, enters the trade, and then it just basically just kind of slowly marches up and closes near highs. So if you would have bought this and held it all day, you would have earned an 18% gain on that trade. That is key. Okay, when you compare that to the losers down here, your biggest loser was 423. So that is huge. So even though the P&L in my case, let's see, let me take this off and take a look over here. Go ahead and put up all segment over here on my strategy trades window, and we can go through that. And it looks like with using my share allocation, which is based upon $200 loss, if it goes to, I'm sorry, $100 loss if it goes to a stop. You can see this is why all of these are like $100 losses, because they did go down and hit the stop in 3 cases. So kind of a flat day overall and moderate profit. So it's just really a ho-hum day, but this GNUS really stands out. Okay, and if you're doing like most people do, what they are manually trading it versus trying to auto trade it. This is one that could have really paid you, because in most cases, I think people on a $3 stock are going to buy more than 200 shares, like I had allocated here. And the reason it only bought 200 is because, like I said, mine is based upon the stop loss. So if I hadn't been doing that and just going in and buying a straight like $5,000 allocation, this would have been a much bigger trade. The next one was SQ, and once again very similar to that one. No pain. Boy, they look really close together on those intraday charts. Look how close this looks together. That one and this one right here, both kind of popping up. No pain trades and going sideways and upward, I should say. A couple of losers here. Let's take a look at Ruger down here, which was a pretty quick stop at that. And maybe, I've talked to Michael about this before, but he says, you know what, in some cases, these things just keep going. So I don't argue with his numbers. He knows what he's doing over there. But when I see something like this, it's had 2 big gaps, and then a gap and go, I'm probably not one to chase. I can see the pattern there that developed and triggered a buy, but this one was stopped. Trying to give you guys maybe some reasons why you, even though this statistical weighted Holly AI is going to buy some things like this, and they're going to continue going in a lot of cases. Me personally, when I see how far this thing has come over the last month, and especially the last 3 days, I may be a little more hesitant on something like that. Let's take a look at another one that just didn't quite work. And actually, I want to look at this CR here. Now, see this one was actually performing. This is one I may take a buy on. Okay, and you can see there was profits in this. This was a tailwind that did trigger and had some nice profits. She got out, okay, for what's called profit sharing for a small loss, and this is one where you could have saved yourself. You know, after what is that, about an hour and 25 minutes, if something finally goes back negative, you know, I'm just getting out for a flat, something like this. So if you did hold this to the end of the day, or, you know, it would eventually stopped you out. I'm just trying to give you some reasons why you're better at exits than Holly is. Okay, this is one where you had some nice gains, and I don't see any reason for taking more than a flat, you know, a loss on something like this. Not taking a loss when you've had gains like that. But that's about it, Steve. Let's see, we got a question there. No, these trades, you cannot take them before Holly does. So if you have these up and running, they will come in real time. No idea what she's going to call. Now, a good question here. How does AI handle moderate and aggressive mode? Personally, the reason is it does not adhere to the stop price. So if you look right here, in this case right here, this Ruger, you can see in moderate. Let me get my pen back. She lost $100, right? Because the stop got hit. But look right here, it kept counting in aggressive mode. It's not going to stop at the stop price. Now, I've seen cases where aggressive, you know, really outperforms in one day, but once again, I cannot get behind that because it is ignoring the stop. This is why we do not give you the aggressive option in the B plus, the brokerage plus window, okay? Because we do not want you. You can always pull your stops at any time or move them, whatever you want to do, but we do not want people automating these and walking away without any stops and come back and be destroyed. Okay, so we're going to make you do that on your own if you choose to do that. Let's see, if I type in a stock on the AI window, does it? No, there's no input, Chris. There's nothing you can input into the AI at this time. This is evolving, and hopefully one day that you'll be able to take a symbol and drop it into an AI window, and it can do some really cool stuff with it, and spit back maybe some parameters or maybe, you know, areas to look at and give you some logic behind what you might do with that. But for right now, there's no input. It's just the AI running on its own.
Yep.
Segment Neo, Holly Neo. If you look at all these, you're going to see they're pretty good relative volume on there. There's Slug, which Slug was actually a good one. It was a buy signal right there. No, I guess, ooh, did that one get stopped? So Slug had some. See, these are earnings play. There's WU, Western Union, that just kind of went sideways all day. The stop never triggered, but just never really did anything. But you can see here they're at almost 4.5 relative volume. Yeah, we do. You know what? We need to update. We did have a document page for the channel bar over here, but since then we've added a lot. We've taken some out and added some new ones, so we need to update that document page. We will do that here pretty soon. All right, Steve, I'm going to kick it back to you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to just jump right into the trade of the week this week. Was SMH, and it was on no real scan, so to speak. Thing that has been consolidating sideways and necessarily wasn't an incompletely destroy it. You'll have a little bit of a cushion there, but nothing really more to say other than this is just one of those charts that just had that look. Disregard that sell. I wish that simulated sell tag was not in there. I am long this and the other account with Andy, but this is about as beautiful as it gets. I talk a lot about strong stocks moving up, higher lows, trend, great, moving average coming to support at the 10 period. But my favorite is when it just goes sideways for a few days and the moving average literally becomes the catalyst that pushes the price higher. Is it going to be like this every time? No, but in my experience watching price action, this is about as money as you can get for a beautiful setup. Yesterday, there was no trigger. today we had in this rope caught my eye. It was perfectly timed sideways action with a very definitive break above those highs there all 3 or 4 days lining up. And then if we could just get a close above, which we did today, hopefully the move is on, and the next waypoint might be up here around 152, we'll call it, from that prior high. Somebody's talking about, yes, the oil and energy sector was very strong. I'll go through those sectors in a minute. So the SMHs are active. The trade of the week is on. The downside is to not let that 10-period red moving average, let the price close below that rising 10-period moving average. So let's hope it just stays in the money and makes it real simple for us, maybe a nice 2 or 3 day trade. And then we can jump off the surfboard and paddle back out and look for something else. Last week, we had Amgen, and Amgen, the signal to buy was a pullback, not a breakout, but a pullback that touched the 50-day moving average. Well, it took 2 days to get it, but we finally got it, and on this day, we got it, and then some. A push down all the way to the 200-day, and then a reversal. So once you saw this day right there that reached down and tagged that level, and hopefully the algorithms are reversing, but you know, if you were watching this thing and thinking about an entry, let me just go back right there, showing you that a all day spent washing out and reversing a nice V bottom intraday and a nice close at the end of the day above our signal line here. You know, this should have been the day that if you guys were paying attention and wanted to trade, momentum that we want behind it, and you should be able to maybe get out for a flat, if not much of a small loser at all. But that is what we were thinking 2 weeks ago in Amgen, because the market was you know, getting up there towards resistance levels, and if the market failed, we didn't want to buy a breakout. We were looking for something that pulled back and found itself a base. But again, the key on this one was the end of the day. So those are some of my favorite swing entries, guys, at the end of the day with 10 minutes to go. It looks like, okay, it looks like we're going to close here. It looks good. Let's go in and jump in now rather than try and chase the thing tomorrow. If other people get involved and it starts moving on me tomorrow, I'll probably be chicken to chase it. Just buy it now and don't be afraid to take it home overnight. I do that all the time. All right, so that is the trade of the week portions. I believe we're caught up on questions, and I'm going to select William. William selected ZM, and rather than build one, I've kind of already got one for him. He was looking for Zoom Media, but I'm going to throw a little wrinkle in here with what William said. He said yesterday at 10 Central, so that would have been about 8 o'clock my time yesterday. Well, William, that was a nice move. Sure, we can scan for those, but wouldn't you rather scan for this? Kind of like what we were just talking about in Amgen, those 3 or 4 days of sell-off, the washout in the morning, the recovery in the afternoon, and closes with a nice hammer tail. And look at what that portended. 3 days of pretty good action, 4 if you even include today. So I'm going to kind of modify your request a little bit there, William. And I actually already have a scan built for you, and you can see it was dropped, and it was dropped publicly. So we're not going to necessarily build it from scratch, but we're going to break it down and see how did this particular scan find. And look, I'll just go ahead and confirm it to you. We'll go ahead and we'll go, and this is very important, guys. Watch this. Symbol list. We're trying to isolate a symbol. We're trying to isolate Zoom Media, ZM. ZM is good. Okay, now we're only scanning for ZM. All right, let's double check that. Symbol list, single symbol ZM. This is all we're scanning for. So if I put a history and just say run, it's going to show me when Zoom Media came through. And there it is. Let's click on it and see when the arrow came up. Look at that. It's our washout bounce day. Look at that, giving us a nice early. So William, you were asking me, hey, can we find something along here? And I'm saying, William, I already got something for you. It's going to show you the move down here. So that's the backstory, the backdrop of what we're going to do here. Let's put this back on all symbols so we don't miss anything. All right, and now what's happening? Okay, So the event in this particular alert is a new high. That's a 5-minute high, a new 5-minute high, and that's green. But I'm only going to see that 5-minute high during a special type of candle. Let's take a look here. Okay, today's range is 100%. What does that mean? It means the distance between the low and the high of any stock, in this case ZM, database knows that the range between ZM's low and high can have a percentile attached to it. Let's say we have a real narrow range spinning top doji day, maybe that's a 30% candle because it really didn't do what it normally is capable of doing on the average of high to low. But if we take a value of 100, we're saying we're going to take the 100th percentile, and we can even go higher if we wanted to. We could make that 110. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying, show me all the candles that are stretched from a distance, a good distance from low to high. And as you can see here, going back, this is probably one of the longer candles we have based on the ones that we can see. So there's our 100 candle range, 100th percentile candle range, a long candle. A spinning top would be a 25% or a 30%, just to give you some relativity. So step one is, yeah, big candle, long range. Remember, our event is to see a new 5-minute high, but we only want to see that new 5-minute high at the top end of this long elongated candle, and that's where position and range comes in. Position and range is today's range. So 0 is today's low at the bottom of that wick, and 100 would be the high, the current high as it is displaying at the moment. But the 95th percentile means only show me stocks making a new 5-minute high if they're in the upper 95th to 100th percentile, that top little shaving part right there. And that signifies those two settings alone, the 100 on the range and the 95 in the position in range, is going to give us these types of candles. Everything else is kind of superfluous. The price change from the close, I don't want it to be up too much. I want these to still be kind of flat to not much above yesterday's close. That's important there. So that's what this scan will give us. All right, and that's how I configured it. And most importantly, guys, when you're trying to back into a scan, start with a single symbol and go to the single symbol list. Okay, go back to all symbols now. And we could say, well, what came out today? Did anything interesting come out today? It looks like this FRO. Oh boy, look at that. Here's FRO's candle today. A nice big sell-off in the morning and then a reversal. So that's giving us something that maybe this will look like ZM did 3 days from now. PHK, there's, it didn't really close at near highs. I'd like to see it close near highs. I'd like to see more of a wick on that candle. So as we go through here, there's still some discernment based on the trader as to what they want to see. That's not bad. It's a nice looking wick, and look at how it bounced below. We're gonna talk about these setups here in the second part of the webinar. I'm going to show you another scan, but for the most part, I think that would solve William. We know that it got ZM yesterday, but it also got ZM a few days earlier, and I think that might be a better scan. So I will drop this in the chat window if anybody came late or didn't see it and wants this. It's called the washout bounce. Let's put it on live, so when I give it to you, it's in live mode. And I will put that in the chat window under washout bounce. And I gotta remember to paste it. I gotta get the cloud code, save and share, and copy. All right, so we're gonna move on here a little bit. And I'm gonna go back to another one that I've talked a lot about, the jam down buy. The jam down buy is looking for this event right here. Let me highlight that. It's looking for this event right here. And that event right there, translated on the daily chart, means it's piercing my favorite 10-day moving average. And that's often the times, like this one that was back here, that they just reverse quickly and bounce right back into play, just like this one did. All right, so we're going to use this scan to see if we can find a lot of those. But let's first do something. Let's first show you the value of it. Okay, the value is we're going to go to the back testing. We're going to start at that time. We're going to open up to that time. This is very important. Now, this is a swing trading scan. This is something that can work for 2 or 3 days, kind of like that Zoom Media did. It might work for 2 or 3 days. So we're going to scan for selling at the market open in 2 days, or tomorrow plus 2, it's actually 3. And maybe we can catch a gap on that 3rd day and get a nice sell at the open. Our risk management is going to be looking for 10% trades, but risking 2.5% to maybe get to those trades. So risk 1 to make 4. In advanced, we're going to do something different here. We're going to say we're only going to sample the last 30 days, and I'll show you why in a minute. Let's go ahead and click buy. What would happen if we bought everything that came through, making a new low on that morning, and we held it for 3 days? We'll get through that in quick order here. And this will be our starting point. And we're going to refine the scan just a little bit, and then we're going to hand out some ideas from it today based on what it showed us. Yeah, when I get to the energy sectors, Jeff, we'll definitely see how strong energy and oil and gas has been. Very strong trend line. Okay, so what do we have to start with here? We got 218 trades. Average winner is $5. Average loser is $1.95. Profit factor 1.5. It'd be nice to get that up over 2. So the first step is to come through and do an optimization and say what's happening at the time of day here. If I go to like maybe 15-minute intervals, there's a lot of trades happening in the first 15 minutes. But look at what happens after 10:14 my time. These are all losing trades that don't work well, and this is perfect for my theory. These afternoon dips, these are the real deal. Those are probably selling, but the early morning dips, those are not. That 116 profit factor, there's a lot of trades in there. I'm actually going to make a slight adjustment, and I'm going to do this. 10:14 is our cutoff time, so we're going to run again. I'm going to take out the first 5 minutes because generally that first 5 minutes is just really noisy. And then I'm going to cut it off at 10:14, just like it said to do, because that seems to be our best scan period. We'll simulate that buy again. And again, what this is looking for, I'll show you in a second, it's looking for a new low, preferably in the morning. Okay, we're doing a little better now. We're moving higher in our average win losers, less trades, higher profit factor. So what's happening here is we're looking for stocks that have good daily charts, and the way they have good daily charts is I'm using my stock composite rating and giving it a score of 80, which means I'll take all the 80s up to 100. All the B and the B plus students and the A students, we give them a score based on their chart, fundamentally and technically. If it's in an uptrend, it's going to have a higher stock score. So I encompass a lot of filters by saying, just show me good charts with that one filter right there. A couple of other little ones that can't, it has to be up at least 10% in the last 20 days. That helps. But what we're looking for is a new low right into the 10-period simple moving average. 0.05% above. If it makes a new low there, anywhere to 0.1% below to 0.05% above, that little bracket is my window. If there's a new low being made and it's touching the 10-day SMA, I want to know about it, and that's the alert that comes through. So knowing that this seems to be a pretty good equity gainer, if we can just hold on for 3 days, let's run it again one more time, since we made that change to the time of day, but this time we're going to run it for the full 60 days and see if hopefully our data still stays the same. It doesn't really jump around on us too much, and that'll kind of prove to us that this could be a decent scan to kind of rely on for longer than just maybe a hot hand of a strategy, 5 or 6 days, and then it goes to hell. All right, just another 0.5% here. The last mile is always the longest mile. And yeah, okay, so everything stayed the same. I added another full 30 days to it, and we still have roughly the same numbers. So this is a decent scan. So now that we know it's a decent scan, let's go through today, and let's find some of the ones that I find interesting, and we'll give them out as a price alert. So let me get rid of all my price alerts, and we'll just collect them in there as we go. Now, here's today. Remember I said I didn't really care for the first few minutes of the day, so I'm actually going to skip up to maybe this one. All right, beyond. I'm going to just kind of look at these one at a time, and you can see there's the push. It came down and touched that simple moving average. A lot of shares today, 6.7 million. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one up right through today's highs. We might get a few of these today. All right, the next one is CRSP, CRISPR. Yeesh, this is a scary stock, actually. Talking gene segments here, gene splicing. Very nice, but I would have liked to have seen more sideways action. That's already got 3 days of trend. I'm going to avoid that one. AGIA. And now speaking of sideways, look at this, pecking on the 10-day, 3 days in a row, and doing it in a little wedge. We're going to just fire that up right above today's high, and we're going to say, watch that stock. Okay, moving right along through today. I could go either way on that one. Vertex, really nice reversal. Again, all these reversals are happening in the morning where I want them to happen. So I'll go ahead. I'm going to mark up this one at yesterday's closing area. See if we can get a little bit of a running start on that one. Moving right along, BAND, Bandcamp. That one looks familiar. We've seen that one already. Again, this one had 3 or 4 days. I'd like to see more sideways action coming into that one, so I'm going to pass there. Same thing there. No. I like this one. Sideways action, a really nice dip below. Look at that arrow just giving us a perfect entry right there this morning. I mean, the entry was 48.51, which is pretty much right about there. And I think that's a pretty safe reversal off the 10 period. I'm going to use that high from yesterday and see if there's any follow through there. That'll be our alert. Bandcamp, we already did that one. We already marked that one up. Facebook, I saw that one come through. That doesn't look that bad either. 3 or 4 days of riding this thing and not bad. Really nice close, actually. Let's just see if it can follow through. We'll mark that. We'll mark up Facebook as well. NBIX. Another decent one. It's kind of compressing and consolidating. I think I'll just use that right there, yesterday's high. DT, ugly. Look at how it just bled right through. So they're not all going to work. That one just kind of bled right through. This one's not bad either, but I'm going to pass on that one. Team, I think we looked at that one already. Getting towards the end of the day here to where I'm not going to want to see any more of these, and this will be the last one. And yeah, it's bleeding down through. So we got a few. How many did we get here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 price alerts. So if anybody wants to use this cloud link, you can basically get the same exact, oh God, I just did that again, didn't I, Andy? I deleted them. I start talking.
You've gone a while without doing that, yeah.
I start talking, and then well, we know we had Facebook in there, so let's just mark that one back up. My bad. I don't think I had that one in there, but I'm going to put it in there. Gosh darn it, why do I do that? I get going too fast. I remember the ones I passed on, the ones I didn't. I liked this one. I liked this one right there. I liked that one right there as well. Didn't do anything with that one. FTNT, didn't do anything with that one. BRTX, I liked that one right above yesterday. Move that one down just a bit. And I know there's a couple other here. AGO was definitely one that I liked above today's highs.
I think you just about got them.
CRISPR, yeah, I didn't like. I don't like the chart of CRISPR, nor do I like the business model of CRISPR. And I think I like this one too. All right, let's try that again. There we go. Right click, share, not delete. Copy all. Okay, I'm going to drop these price alerts into the chat window, guys. We'll just call them price alerts. And that cloud code will basically fill up your price alerts with the same ones as I. But you know, I just kind of hope to show you the power of back testing and reminding us this can be a really good 3-day scan. Looks very similar to the one that we looked at earlier, ZM Media. You know, stocks that are kind of coming back and putting in those piercing candles. A little bit different here because we're only focused on the 10-day simple moving average as opposed to the ones lower. But I think you guys get the gist. Hopefully you do. That's all we've got today, unless Andy wants to add anything. Anything else you want to add here?
I'm good. I'm good.
Sector watch. We'll do sector watch for 3 minutes, and we'll bring Scott in. Usually I can find 2 or 3 sectors that I think are ready to go. And as who was it saying it there? Somebody said the oil been trending really nice. Yeah, I mean, the oil's trending really nice. It could go either way tomorrow. Oil commodity, stay away from that. Oh, the steel. I'll tell you what, that brings up a good point. X is looking really like it wants to break out of this little area right there. You can see it was prior support back here. It's acting as current resistance. All it might take is just one little bit of news, and if you see X pop up above that level, that could be interesting. Same with energy sector. God, it looks very similar as well. Energy sector looks strong. Here's our semis. Hopefully, we're all already positioned. We anticipated the move and got it.
M-Chip had earnings after the bail, and they way up.
Okay. Wow, look at that. So the semiconductor index is enjoying a little bit of that, not all of it, but like I said earlier, it helps dampen the blow if we have bad news in a single stock. Boy, retail looks strong too. Look at this, busted above the 200-day moving average, found support at the 200. Yeah, retail looks strong as well. I wouldn't chase 3 stocks like that, 3 candles like that. Just going to go through them here quickly. Technology spider looks strong. Boy, everything really closed strong today in the last 10 minutes. You're right, energy looks great. What is this? Oh, healthcare looks really strong. This is really interesting, very strong. If healthcare wants to break out of that tight range, keep an eye on that. And not only that, it's looking back for prior highs as well. And software. Oof. IBB, you're gonna have to keep your eyes on that. Here's what I see over here. I see a pretty good wedge forming in the IBB. I see a real big, strong bottoming tail 4 or 5 days ago there. Keep an eye on the biotechs, guys. That's a really strong looking, that's probably the best looking setup I've seen because we've got sideways action getting ready to blow. We're not chasing a bunch of green candles here. Yeah, that IBB is probably the best thing I saw since I went through there. And given, yeah, the oil sector and the energy sector is trending nicely, but if we're looking for something that's ready to pop, I think IBB is one you're going to want to keep your eye on. So I'm going to just right click here and pop a price alert in there if it gets above that level. All right, that's all I've got. That's all Andy's got. Let's go ahead and bring the slides back up, and Scott has a few parting words.
All right, thank you. Yeah, a couple items on the way out. Make sure you get that free ebook that we've been offering, trade-ideas.com/earnings. It's got some great ways for you to take advantage of earnings season and also includes some cloud links for you to import those plays into your Trade Ideas setups. Also a podcast, Trade Ideas podcast is what you search for. Add us to your subscriptions and subscribe. Check out the ones we've released earlier this year and the upcoming ones. We've got a cold April showers has been extended for this week. Just use it, all caps, saves 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas or your upgrade from standard to premium. Follow Steve on Twitter at Today Trader. You can also follow at Trade Ideas, at QuantBot, some other handles you'll find. If you follow one of them, you'll see the other ones. Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle to follow and like everything you see and share it with your friends. And if you have any questions, just ask info@trade-ideas.com. That goes into our help desk support software. So your question will get answered by the appropriate team member in a fast time frame. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Andy. Have a good one.
Yep. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you on Thursday.